raising. This flexible 10-hour-a-week position is ideal for someone who is detail-oriented, organized, and looking to add a few hours to their weekly work schedule and do meaningful work in the Central Vermont community. In this role, your primary responsibilities include managing CVHHH's extensive donor database, data entry of daily donations, and coordinating distribution of donor acknowledgement and client welcome letters. You will also assist with volunteer services and town funding. Starting pay is $18 per hour. The work schedule is flexible and in our Barrie office. To learn more about this role and to apply, visit www.cvhhh.org.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I got to tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/one-small-step, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/one-small-step. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
When you think about the Patriots' needs this offseason, look for one trait: explosiveness.
The stories that matter to you.
I'm not convinced that Ben Shungu, that he's not the league player of the year.
This is your home for New England sports.
Bobby Dahlbeck playing third base this year? Now that is interesting.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? It's a Friday. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We've got a ton to get to, as always. We've got a full show today, all 90 minutes, right up until 7 o'clock. And then we've got Jazz with George Thomas. We're going to talk with Evan Washburn of CBS Sports. He's on the NFL on CBS coverage. Yesterday, he was the courtside reporter for UVM as they lost to Arkansas. So we'll get Evan's perspective on the game. A lot of stuff on the Red Sox, a note on the Patriots as well. You can get in, as always, on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, to our locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also comment, as always, on the Facebook live chat as well as YouTube live. So let's waste no time. Let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
We're going to get to UVM in a second. We'll update you on what's happening right now in the NCAA tournament. So Miami currently a 10 seed. They're beating 7-seeded USC 65-61, less than 30 seconds to play in. That one, 6-seeded Texas leading 11-seeded Virginia Tech 34-32 at the half, and 11-seeded Notre Dame beating 6-seeded Alabama 41-36 at the half. Still to come tonight, a whole bunch of games, but Duke is on the floor at 7-10. Coach K is embarking on his final NCAA tournament run, so we'll see what happens there. And we go all the way up until 10 o'clock when the last game tips off between TCU and Seton Hall. The big breaking sports story of the day is that Deshaun Watson has been traded officially now to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns give him a 5-year, $230 million contract. Baker Mayfield wants out of Cleveland. He reportedly wants to go to the Colts. We're not sure if the Colts actually want him, so my gut reaction is this is not a great day for the NFL, not a great look for the NFL, and not a great look for the Cleveland Browns. I understand that people are innocent until proven guilty. I understand that there's a lot that we don't know about the Deshaun Watson situation. I know that I do not like this. Now, my dad has been a diehard Cleveland Browns fan for a long time. I'm glad I'm not in the position that he is in as a fan to have to try to wrap your head around this. Now, I believe that my dad will just pick a new team after all this time. I do not believe that he will support the Browns with Deshaun Watson. I'm glad that I am not in that position as a fan. First and foremost, the first point of the conversation should be that you feel bad for and you hope that Deshaun Watson's alleged victims are okay physically and mentally. That should any talk about Deshaun Watson, that should be the first thing that comes out of our mouths. That the alleged victims, are they okay? Are they moving forward? Are they able to process things? And, our first thought should be with them. If you want to make this a football conversation only, then I feel bad for my dad. I feel bad for Browns fans who now have to reconcile this. It's not a great look because there will be Browns fans that celebrate this. And it's not a great look for the NFL in that Deshaun Watson has 22 civil lawsuits pending over sexual misconduct. And so here's what we've got with Deshaun Watson. We've got a great football player, a young football player who's not even 25 years old yet. It's hard to believe he's been around for so long. He's not even 25 years old yet. But you have a player who quit on his former team, the Houston Texans, refused to play, sat out the entire season, and also has 22 civil lawsuits pending against him. And that guy now gets to dictate his way out of town, gets to pick where he goes, and then gets the largest contract in NFL history. This is not a great look for the league. And it's not a great look for the Cleveland Browns that they gave him this contract, $80 million guaranteed more than Aaron Rodgers got. I hope I'm not coming off as scattered, but I hate this for so many reasons. I hate that Deshaun Watson's quitting on his team and refusing to play. I hate that in conjunction with all of the legal issues led him to a great roster in a division where he can be competitive right away and led him to the largest contract in NFL history. Bad behavior is not supposed to be tolerated. It's not supposed to be rewarded, and it's not supposed to be enabled, and all of which has happened here with Deshaun Watson. Even if you personally want to turn a blind eye to all of the civil allegations, all the sexual misconduct allegations, if you want to turn your eye to that, at the very least, you've got a guy who quit on his team and ended up getting $80 million more guaranteed than Aaron Rodgers. You throw the legal issues on top of that, it's just disgusting. It shows you, as I've said all along, how good you are dictates how big a distraction you can be. How good you are dictates how many chances you will get. And how good you are dictates how much people will stomach in order to work with you. And this is the part of the NFL that I don't like. It's the part of the NFL that a lot of people don't like. If you want to look at it from a football perspective, again, Deshaun Watson still might be suspended by the league. Even with no formal charges, Deshaun Watson might be suspended by the league. Ben Roethlisberger was suspended without formal charges. Ezekiel Elliott was suspended without formal charges. So there's a very real chance that Watson gets suspended for some portion of time here. So we don't know, can we predict the Browns to the Super Bowl next year? Well, not if Watson's going to miss 6 games or 4 games or whatever. No, we can't probably. So next year, I don't know if the Cleveland Browns are greatly impacted by this move. But subsequently, it makes the Browns a real player for a while if Watson is still as good as he showed prior to sitting out. So that's kind of it for the Deshaun Watson stuff right now. Again, you can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. Ray says Cleveland is desperate. Yes, they are. But this is the NFL. Talent trumps just about all in the NFL. That is really just where we're at. How good you are dictates what you can get away with. And you can get away with an awful lot if you are a quarterback who is under 25, who is as good as Deshaun Watson was. And that is the unfortunate reality of the sport that we love. We do love football. This is the part of football that I don't love, and the kind of selling your soul to get a Super Bowl that I don't love. And again, there was talks that Deshaun Watson was going to go to the Seahawks. There were talks that should the Patriots get involved. I didn't want any part of that because I would not have known how to talk about Deshaun Watson in the context of the Patriots without being disgusted. So for us I'm glad that this is not us, but in general, I just think the whole thing is pretty gross. So it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. Those weren't intended to be the opening thoughts, but the opening thoughts are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Let's move to UVM. UVM loses to Arkansas 75-71 yesterday, ends their NCAA tournament run. I'm not mad today that UVM lost. I'm not mad at all, actually. I'm sad, I'm disappointed, but I am not mad, and I'll tell you why. UVM did nearly everything that we said they needed to do. And if you follow the scouting report to a T, and if you check 98% of the boxes that you needed to check, then all I can do, if I'm UVM, is walk out of the gym with my head held high, and that's what the Catamounts should be doing. They did just about everything we asked them to do. Look at all the things we talked about for the last few days. UVM did all of them. I predicted UVM would win 72-69, right? That was my prediction yesterday. So I had UVM getting 72 points. They ended up with 71. I said that they needed to break their scoring down in this way. I said Ben Shungu and Ryan Davis needed to be stars. I said they needed to get 35 to 40 points between them for UVM to have a chance. They got 40 exactly. Check. 20 points from Shungu, 20 points from Davis. Check, check. I predicted that the third scorer would get 14 points. That's what they would need. I said it would be Finn Sullivan. I was wrong on that. It was Justin Mazzulla. He gets 13. Check. The scoring breakdown was exactly as I said it needed to be for UVM to win. I said that the other guys on the team needed to get to 18 points, and they got exactly 18. Check, check. The scoring breakdown was pretty much dead on from what I said they needed. We said they needed to take and make threes. UVM hit 9 threes. They shot it nearly at 40%. They hit more threes than Arkansas did. They kept Arkansas right around their season average. We said if UVM can make Arkansas a jump shooting team, they're going to have a real chance to win this game. Arkansas took 21 threes, only hit 7, shot 33%, and that is right about their season average. I mean, what more can you ask for there? We said that UVM needed to withstand the first 5 minutes of the game. They needed to withstand the blitz that Arkansas would throw at them. Not only did they withstand it, UVM had the lead early in this game. Arkansas didn't take the lead until 18-17 for the first time. And then UVM did all the little things well. They only committed 6 turnovers. They shot 44% from the floor. They had more assists than Arkansas did. They stay out of foul trouble. I can live with this result. Pretty much everything we said they needed to do, they did. And if you're going to do everything you're supposed to do and the other team still beats you, then I'm just going to tip my hat. I didn't walk out of this game thinking that UVM really beat themselves, and I didn't walk out of this game thinking that UVM got embarrassed. If you're looking for the one spot where UVM came up short, it was the free throw line. If you're going to pin this on any one thing, then it was the free throw line. If you're going to pull an upset, a 13-4 upset, you need to do just about everything perfect. And UVM did just about everything perfect. The one thing they didn't do perfectly was the free throw line. Catamounts were 10 of 17 from the foul line. That's 59%. They needed to get there a little bit more, and they needed to hit with more regularity. Arkansas goes 20 of 25. They get there 8 times more. They get 10 more points at the line. They shoot 80%. That's the game. UVM did everything we asked them to do, except for be better at the foul line. I'm not mad at what happened. I know how hard it is. I have covered enough small school teams trying to pull big upsets. I know how hard it is to play that perfect game. And because UVM played about 98% perfectly, I'm not mad today. I'm not mad today. They hit the 3. They baited Arkansas into taking the 3. They stayed out of foul trouble. They got a lead early. They were always within striking distance. They didn't get crushed on the glass. Their stars were stars. Their depth showed out. They did everything we asked them to do. And when that's the case, I'm going to walk out of that gym with my head held high. yes, the free throw line was the biggest culprit of this loss. 10 of 17, couple of misses crucially in the second half, but generally a great game. I'm still proud of the way this team played. I think that they represented their school well, themselves well, their teammates well, the program well, and the state well. And I think generally people came out of this game very, very impressed with UVM. And as a fan of a school in a small state, and as a fan of a school in a one-bid league, that's ultimately what you're looking for, is respect. And I think UVM got it. And it was a hell of a ride. It was a hell of a ride from that first game of the year at Northern Iowa until yesterday.
Under 20 to go. Sullivan on the dribble. Here's Shungu. Got a three. A huge one.
And boy, did they need that.
I mean, that was yesterday. We got highlights from all season. It was a season full of highlights.
50 pass, but no finish. Shungu for three. That's good.
There was that. Then we got this.
Here's Robin Duncan. Nice feed to Missoula. A wide open Bailey Patella. Pump fake, steps back out. Kaboom. For three.
There's a three from Bailey Patella. We got highlights everywhere.
Shungu to steal. Numbers for UVM. He's going to take it himself and throw it down.
Ben Shungu with a dunk. Here's Bailey Patella with one.
Sullivan back to Davis. Open left wing three. Kaboom! A big time shot from a big time player. The reigning conference player of the year gives the Catamounts the lead back.
I mean, it was a season full of highlights. 28 wins. Can't ask for much more than that. I'm not mad today. I am disappointed we don't get to watch this team anymore. They were a special group. They had a special thing, and they were a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to cover. And now I think there's real questions about what happens next, and we're going to talk about that in the 6 o'clock hour. But, today I just look at it and say, you know what? They did all they could. They did all they needed to do to win. Arkansas just had a little bit more, and that is why they are in the SEC, and that is why they had 25 wins, and that is why they were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament in the first place. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Joe says UVM played great, hell of a season. What killed them was the foul line. You've got to make them. Yep, that was it. The recipe was the formula was followed. The recipe was there. UVM did everything they needed to do. It was just the free throw line. That was the thing. If you're looking for the one thing that hurt them, that was it. That was it. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I walked away impressed with UVM yesterday. I think a lot of people did. How did it look in the building? Evan Washburn, CBS Sports. He was there. He's going to talk to us next from Buffalo, next on DEV.
Okay, so we got the chorizo dumplings, the cucumber empanadas.
Sarah's food truck is popping off.
Come on, guys, let's pick it up, all right?
But if she doesn't find a new chef, her truck will be stuck.
Carl quit this morning, so Jessica, I'm going to need you on the fryer.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers with Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting strong communities by helping local governments since 1986.
VSCCU is a credit union for everybody in Vermont. So what's it like to be a member?
I've been a member for 18 years. I opened my first ever account at VSCCU. It was a joint savings with my dad. My family liked the local banking thing. I kind of was raised to just love that. And then when I ended up coming back to Vermont, I went out of Vermont for a while and came back, I felt the same way. Everything I need, I can do with VSCCU. Whether it's savings or checking, I just became a part of the V Green program. I have solar panels on my house. I use that V Green program to borrow the money to do the panels. Auto, I do through VSECU. It's kind of one-stop shop for everything I need. The staff is always amazing. The V Green program, incredible, and the people I'm dealing with. Multiple cars financed through VSECU. So I've had a lot of different interactions with staff, and it's always been really incredible.
You can be a member too. Learn more at vsecu.com.
Thank you, VSECU.
Federally insured by the NCUA.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. UVM season ends last night in the NCAA tournament. Catamounts beaten by Arkansas 75-71. The guy who was on the floor for the game is Evan Washburn of CBS Sports. We've talked to Evan before in football season. Evan joins us now live from Buffalo. And Evan, appreciate the time here. Before we get into the UVM game specifically, just talk to me a little bit about what yesterday was like for you. 4 games, couple of upsets, a lot of stories to try to figure out. Talk to me about kind of what everything was like.
It's sort of I've done it now. I think this is my 7th or 8th tournament, and you know what's in store in terms of the length of the day and the mental grind and physical to some degree. But each year is different, and I really think it depends on the type of games you have. And I think we were so fortunate yesterday in Buffalo as a broadcast and production crew to just have really entertaining games. Even if they weren't high scoring, they were close, and we had the 2 upsets with the higher seeds winning, and that really paces you throughout. So we had a blast.
You know, we often ask the play-by-play guys, what their preparation process is like for teams that maybe they haven't seen as much, like in Vermont. What's it like for you on the sideline? Because the sideline reporter's job is very difficult. You're trying to find stories and fit stories into certain parts of the broadcast. What is your process like?
I kind of look at Thursday or Friday, if you're doing a Friday site, as a chance on Wednesday and in the few days leading up to get a sense of the teams. Maybe you've seen them in person over the course of the season. That's always an added bonus. But just get familiar with the basics. Who's the coach? Who's the star player? What's their style? What's their identity? Who's their SID, PR guy? Who's their contact? Who's their athletic trainer? What's their protocol on listening into huddles? Do they care? Do they not care? This year we were doing these under 12 and under 8 sort of NBA type interviews with the coaches, going over that with them. So really a lot of logistical stuff really leading up to it. And there's some main, big stories that are worth getting in and kind of fit with the flow of play. That's great. And then I feel like today, for example, is spent going back to the arena and getting to know the teams a little bit better. And since you got all that sort of basic knowledge out of the way, you can dive a little deeper. So I realize it's not worth trying to become an expert on Vermont, for example, who I'd never seen, never met anybody with the program, in 2 days when I find out Sunday that I'm doing that game Thursday night. But you can get some of the basics down, and then you take it from there.
The UVM game was the last game on the schedule for you yesterday. It was a very well-played game. Again, UVM had a chance. They were down 7 at the half, had a chance late, in a tough overturn. They could have gotten the ball back. What was your overall impression of the game?
Extremely impressed. I mean, Arkansas is a tough team to match up with because of their physicality, their athleticism, and they showed it in the first half. Their best player, JT Notte, foul trouble, no points, and they're still winning. And they were getting shots and production out of guys that don't normally do that. And it's a different style than what Vermont sees in the American East on a lot of levels. But, man, they went toe-to-toe with them and seemed completely comfortable on the stage and playing a game of that in that environment, and not just the environment of the NCAA tournament, but more so the environment of a Power 5 SEC team. And I thought really in the first large portion of the first half, and even at times to start the second half, especially, they kind of dictated terms. So that was kind of my impression. And yeah, there wasn't enough down the stretch. I would say more so in keeping Arkansas from doing what they wanted to do offensively and getting to the paint, getting to the free throw line, and then conversely, Vermont missed too many free throws.
Evan Washburn, CBS Sports, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We talked a lot this year about Ben Shungu. It's been 10 years for us of watching Ben Shungu between high school and his 6 years at UVM. So yesterday was the last game we got to watch Shungu. What did you think of him in person?
Well, you ask about kind of getting to know teams in the process. When I heard his story in the days leading up to getting here in Buffalo, and then sitting down with John Becker on Wednesday and having him really lay out his story. It's what college sports and really sports in general are made of, and it was awesome. And he lived up to all the nice things that people said about who he is as a person, but also just how good he is as a player now. I mean, he was really putting the team on his back. I know Ryan Davis was extremely productive, as he always is, but it was Shungu who seemed to say, all right, we're not going away. And he was unbelievable. And that's one of the things where, not that we root for anybody, but you can see if Vermont makes a run, whether it's even just the second round or a Sweet 16, he's the type of player, because of his story and because of his play, would become a star.
Evan, I'll get you out of here on this. I know how busy you are today, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a football question. You're part of the NFL on CBS broadcast team with the team with Ian Eagle. We had Ian on a couple of times this year. So you saw the Patriots a few times, and you had that playoff game against Buffalo, I believe, as well. Just your impressions of Mac Jones as we start to think about year two for him.
Well, I think you have to be pleased with the fact that he seemed ready to take over what was, I would argue, the hardest position, not just because quarterback's hardest position in maybe pro sports, but in that organization based off of what Brady had built over his 19, 20 years, whatever it was. And he didn't seem to be overwhelmed by it. And for a large portion of the season, showed improvement and was beyond capable and was really kind of leading the way as that team made a charge in that division. Now, as has been well documented, they kind of hit a wall, and I'm not really a believer in the rookie wall per se, but it felt like he hit a ceiling last season where defenses started to figure out ways to frustrate him, put him in bad spots, and they didn't have an answer for it. And I believe that they will find answers. Mac will find those answers based off of experience and preparation and work that can be done right now, and then as he heads in the next season. So I think they're in a good spot at that position. Losing Josh McDaniels is a huge deal, in my opinion. I mean, look, Bill runs the show, and he's got his hands on everything, but Josh has proven to be one of the best quarterback developers that I can think of in the last 10 to 20 years. When you think about how he, not just with what he did with Mac, but the work he did hand in hand with Brady all those years. So that how that works and how that impacts Mac's development to me is a huge storyline surrounding the Patriots.
Well, here's hoping you do more Patriots games next year. I don't know that you're not just going to do every AFC West game, since that appears to be. Yeah,
I was just told that we've all got Airbnbs in all AFC West cities. So I don't know. It might be tough. We might be coming. We were joking as all these moves kept being made. Like, we'll come back for Pittsburgh and Buffalo and maybe New England if they can stay competitive in the division. But otherwise, everybody get your miles ready for Denver, Vegas, LA, and KC.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a very fun and entertaining division out there next year. The Devontae Adams trade only further exemplifies that from yesterday. So Evan Washburn, NFL and NCAA on CBS. He was at the UVM game yesterday. Evan, thanks for the time. Enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Thanks. No problem. Great to catch up.
Yeah, it's great to catch up with Evan as well, who's out in Buffalo. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of AFC West games on the schedule for Evan and crew, I'm sure. And now Cleveland, whenever Deshaun Watson is playing also. Hopefully the Patriots still get the broadcast team of Ian Eagle and Charles Davis and Evan, because they are really, really good. But, more immediately here, as I said before, I think people walked away impressed with UVM. And I think Evan, count him in that group. They played well. They played very well, in fact. They showed themselves well on national television in front of a new audience. And, again, when you're in the league that UVM is in, all you can really ask for is respect. And I think UVM earned that yesterday from a basketball standpoint. I do think there are some very fascinating questions about what comes next for the Catamounts. And we're going to do that in the 6 o'clock hour. But I did also think it was interesting, Evan, talking about his preparation. I thought it was going to be a lot more of, learning every nugget for feature stories and things like that. I really thought that that's where he was going to talk about. He said, no, it's actually pretty light, just kind of getting to know people and not so much trying to become an expert. I thought it was going to be a lot more cramming, but hey, that's why Evan's a pro and I'm not. Anthony says, yeah, Brady, you're right. UVM, it did come down to free throws. That was what was tough to see. So, yeah, lots more on the Catamounts coming in the 6 o'clock hour. When we come back, Buster Olney was pretty harsh yesterday on Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom. We'll tell you what Buster said, and we'll see if it's true. Is Chaim Bloom not aggressive enough for the market of Boston? We'll tackle that. That's next on WDEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Wendy Gillette in Budapest, Hungary, a country that expects to receive 900,000 Ukrainian refugees. In Ukraine, Russian forces launched more attacks. CBS correspondent Steve Futterman is in Warsaw, Poland.
For the first time since the invasion, Russia targeted the western Ukraine city of Lviv. Cruise missiles apparently aiming for the Lviv airport hit an army maintenance facility. Several buildings were severely damaged. In the southern city of Mykolaiv, missiles hit Ukraine army barracks. More than 40 soldiers are believed to have been killed. And in besieged Mariupol, Russian troops have now reached the city's center, and there are gun battles in the streets. Steve Futterman, CBS News, Warsaw.
President Biden held a lengthy call with Chinese President Xi Jinping this morning, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
The majority of this call was focused on Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. The vast majority of the nearly 2 hours was spent with the president outlining the views of the United States and our allies and partners on this crisis. He also conveyed the implications and consequences if China provides material support to Russia.
Bulgaria has taken its own actions today. CBS News correspondent Cami McCormick with that part of the story from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria's foreign ministry says 10 Russian diplomats have been declared persona non grata, and they've been given 72 hours to leave the country. The government here says their activities were not in line with their diplomatic status. It's the second time Russian diplomats have been expelled from this country, which has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Cami McCormick, CBS News, Sofia, Bulgaria.
The war is likely to negatively affect the auto industry. WWJ's Jeff Gilbert is in Detroit.
The war will mean 5 million fewer vehicles built worldwide, says Mark Fulthorpe of S&P Global Mobility. New shortages of auto parts and raw materials will compound today's shortages of computer chips.
We came into this with the automotive industry and its supply chain in a very tumultuous state.
Fulthorpe also sees rising prices lowering demand for vehicles.
An American military aircraft has crashed in northern Norway, according to local rescue services. 4 people were on board. Moderna has asked the FDA to authorize a second booster shot of its COVID vaccine. CBS News medical contributor David Agus.
So the hope is that with that second booster shot, everyone would have a immunity level higher to enable them to hopefully not be hospitalized or have issues.
The markets finished the trading week up big. This is CBS News.
Dell's semi-annual sale has arrived. Save up to 45% on Dell business computers with Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Just call 877-ASK-DELL.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers with Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
And now a message from Puffs Tissues. It's that time of year when spring's in full swing and explosions of life make allergies really zing. Each sniffle and swipe can be a moment of dread as ordinary tissues make noses angry and red. So keep Puffs by your side to soften all your blows. With Air Puffed Magic, they'll cushion your nose. Especially during allergy season, a nose in need deserves Puffs indeed.
A Japanese-American actress says she was the victim of a hate crime. In an Instagram post, Karen Fukuhara, who plays Kimiko Miyashiro in the Prime Video series The Boys, says she was walking to a cafe for coffee when a man hit her in the back of the head. She doesn't say where it happened, but claims the man yelled at her before he left. Fukuhara, who also appeared in the movie Suicide Squad, says she posted about the incident to raise awareness. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees have already arrived here in Hungary. More are crossing into Poland, Slovakia, and Romania. Hungarian-owned Wizz Air has donated 100,000 seats to transport refugees to European destinations. Refugees also receive food, rail transportation, and free hotel stays. The city of Budapest feels very much business as usual as the operations unfold. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Thanks to Evan Washburn and CBS Sports for joining us, talking about UVM, also talking about a little bit of the Patriots since he got a first-hand account of the Pats multiple times last season. If you miss any of that interview or any of our show ever, you can always just check out our full show podcast. It's free. It's easy to find. It's on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Just search for the Brady Farkas Show. Follow us. And again, you get it for free every single day. I have a funny story to tell. Well, I'm going to do that at 6:30. I think you guys are going to find it pretty funny, so stick around for that. It's a story involving me and social media and all that. A couple of texts, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. TJ says, Brady, I missed the start of the show. I apologize. My question is, what's next for us? And I'm meaning UVM. We're going to get to that in about 20 minutes, TJ, just so you know. Yeah, a lot of questions about UVM. So TJ's got questions about UVM. We will do that about 6:30 after I give you my funny story. Right now, I want to go to the Red Sox because Buster Olney said something that I thought was really aggressive for Buster yesterday. Buster is a very nice guy. He's very smart. He's generally not this critical. And Buster had this to say yesterday about Chaim Bloom and about the Red Sox.
I must say that I feel like that the Red Sox blew it with Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
That, to me, would have been a great signing. And at some point, and I know, and Chaim Bloom is a great guy, but I just don't think he's aggressive enough for the market.
Is Chaim Bloom not aggressive enough to run the Red Sox? 802-585-3026. Those are pretty damning comments from Buster. Again, Buster is not usually that critical. And yesterday he came right out and said it. I don't think he's aggressive enough for the market that he's in. And I've always been a Chaim Bloom defender. So I will start this by saying it is hard for me today to sit here and go against what Buster is saying. The Red Sox have been beaten to the punch on a lot of guys this year. They were beaten to the punch on Freddie Freeman. They were beaten to the punch on Saya Suzuki, the outfielder. Marcus Semien before the lockout happened. Robbie Ray. They've been beaten to the punch on all these trade talks that everybody is in. This team is now further away from a championship contender today than they were at the end of last season. That is true. And I will say my loyalty to Chaim Bloom is being tested in all of this. I see the moves being made by the Mariners. I see the moves being made by the White Sox. I see the moves being made by by Toronto. I see moves being made, and Chaim Bloom is making none. My loyalty is being tested. But I still believe in what Chaim Bloom is doing here. I believe that Chaim Bloom has a real plan long-term. And long-term, I believe he's setting the Red Sox up for what he wants, sustained success. I really do believe that. But he does need to recognize that in Boston, you have to balance long-term plans and goals of the immediacy of here and now. In 2020, it was all about the future. There was no here and now. Last year in 2021, I advocated for really holding pat at the deadline, for not trading prospects for Max Scherzer or Trey Turner. I advocated for that. I believed that what we saw last year from the Red Sox was a little bit false. I don't believe the Red Sox were ever that great last year. So I was fine with Chaim Bloom kind of holding pat last year. This year, now I'm getting to the point where I'm expecting to win. Last year was a pleasant surprise. This year I'm expecting to be in the conversation to the end, and I expect to deserve to be in the conversation. Last year was out of left field season for the Red Sox. This year I want to go in with expectations. So Chaim Bloom has to realize that the long-term goals, they're very important, they're very critical, and they're very good. But there's also a season being played right now, and Chaim Bloom thus far is being lapped by what other teams around him are doing. I do believe in Chaim Bloom, but he's got to recognize that it's not solely about the future anymore. It was in 2020. I thought last year for large portions of the year, that was the proper methodology. This year, you've got to find a way to balance both. And look, if he didn't want to give $175 million to 32-year-old Marcus Semien, I can understand that. If he doesn't want to give $180 million to trending downward Chris Bryant, I can understand that too. I don't think you need to just spend to spend. But there are moves that have come off the board the Red Sox could have made. The Red Sox could have brought back Kyle Schwarber. They didn't. They could have paid Carlos Rodon as an upside play and didn't. Instead, they got beaten to the punch by the San Francisco Giants. Those moves upset me more than not going after Correa or Baez or Bryant. There have been moves on the board that the Red Sox haven't made that could have gotten them better. I believe 100% in building up prospect depth. 100%. I am all in on finding and developing prospects. And people seem to prospects come to the majors and help you. Prospects help you in trades. And the teams that spend big money, the Dodgers, the Padres, the White Sox, the Blue Jays, they all at one point recently had great burgeoning farm systems. They were able to spend because they brought prospects to the league that weren't making a bunch of money that were awesome. And they were able to add because they traded away prospects to bring in major league ready talent. That is what Chaim Bloom is trying to do. I believe in that 100%. However, he appears to not be making moves until his entire house is in order. That's a years-long process. It was a 4-year process for the Blue Jays to do that. It was a 9-year process for the Padres to do that. The White Sox tanked it for 3 years after trading Sale to the Red Sox. Like, I'm not interested in that. Those teams tanked it and then got their houses in order and then went for it. In Boston, you cannot do that. The Red Sox tanked it in 2020. Last year was supposed to be a relative tank, and they played way above their heads. This year, you've got to do some things that get you back to a permanent seat at the table. I love Chaim Bloom's plans for the future. I think he's doing it the right way. There's also got to be a plan for now. There's got to be a plan for now. This team should have a permanent seat at the table. And right now they look like a third or fourth place team in their own division. I do believe that Chaim Bloom will spend, but he doesn't look ready to spend until his house is in order. You've got to be able to do both at the same time. So Buster says, I don't think he's aggressive enough for the market. I don't believe that. I think he's got it in him. He's just got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And it's hard. Build for the future, build up long-term goals and build up long-term capital, develop prospects, but also be in the conversation right now. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, a lot of stuff going on in the text line, not all of it relevant to this conversation, so I'll save it here for a little while. Let's talk about Trevor Story real quick. Trevor Story is the now former shortstop of the Colorado Rockies, and John Heyman, Major League Baseball insider today, came out and said that Story's making his decision between 4 teams, the Giants, the Red Sox, and 2 mystery teams. We just asked if Chaim Bloom was not aggressive enough. Should Chaim Bloom make this move to go get Trevor Story? Should they go for Story? I think that they should. But this is a very delicate situation. This is not just as simple as let's go throw money at at one of the best remaining free agents. It's not that simple. Trevor Story is a shortstop. He wants to play shortstop. Heyman's tweet said that Story is willing to do a short-term position change. That would work out well for the Red Sox, right? They could put Trevor Story at second base. And that would put Christian Arroyo kind of in the utility role that I think he's best suited at because he's not durable enough necessarily to play 162 games. So I'd make the call on Story. I'd make the move on Story, but it's very delicate. He's willing to do a short-term position change. That's good. Put him at second base. That helps the Red Sox here big time in 2021 or 2022 rather. But what happens as a result? Like, what dominoes fall after that? Xander Bogaerts is not real thrilled that people don't think he can be a shortstop. That's very clear. So if the Red Sox sign Story, and we know that Story wants to play shortstop, does Bogaerts look at it like they're trying to force me out, and now he's upset? And now he leaves you in free agency, and you've lost a face of your franchise for the second time in 4 years like you did with Mookie Betts. That's not a situation that I want if I'm Chaim Bloom. So if you sign Story and Bogaerts knows that Story wants to play shortstop, well, now Bogaerts is like, okay, they don't seem to want me here. They don't think that I can do this. And conversely, if you go the other way, does Story sign here, play second this year and suck it up, and then get peeved that you're not giving him shortstop like he wanted? Like, hey, I was willing to do this for a bit. I want to play shortstop now. And now is he resentful? This is a delicate situation. Trevor Story makes this team better. Better positionally, would give them among the best middle infields in the entire league. In all the majors. He'd add more power to their lineup. They'd keep up with the Joneses and the rest of their division. Like, it makes the 2022 Red Sox better. But what collateral damage comes after it? That's the balance that you have to strike. And Alex Cora, I will give him credit. I believe he is the guy who's qualified to strike that balance. But a lot of it is going to fall on him. Keeping Bogaerts happy, keeping Story happy, and massaging this whole thing into the future. Remember, Bogaerts has an opt-out after this year. He's going to opt out. he may come back to the Red Sox, but he's going to want a different contract. And he may leave the Red Sox. If you've brought in Story, who's making more than him, and now Story wants to play shortstop, Bogaerts might just say, you know what? Screw it. I'm gone. And you've alienated a guy who should be a Red Sox Hall of Famer. That would be a problem. If you sign Story and he doesn't get shortstop back, now you've alienated him. And I would imagine he would be upset. Alex Cora, I believe, is uniquely qualified to handle this situation. He's got a great way of communicating, a great track record of communicating, and I believe that Bogaerts and him have a great relationship, and I got to assume that he and Story would get a great relationship as well. Now, Heyman says that Story is a real possibility for the Red Sox. I got to say, Buster's been telling us this for a while. Like, I went through the archives. December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, Buster talked to us about Trevor Story.
A guy to watch is Trevor Story. The one thing about him is that moving forward, he's going to be a shortstop. There are questions long-term about whether Correa can stay at shortstop because he's had these lower back issues. So I do, and I also know that the Red Sox have absolutely sort of been stealthily involved in the shortstop market more than people know.
So, that was back on December 23rd. So this was always a possibility. Okay, this was always a possibility. I would make the call. I would make the signing. I don't know what it would cost you. He's 29 years old, right? Like, Story's 29 years old. I got to think he's going to get 6-7 years, and I got to think it's going to be in the 175 to 180, 200 range. The Red Sox can afford it. I would do it. But there's going to be some work that needs to get done behind the scenes here when it comes to Alex Cora. So it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We've got a good chat going on, by the way, on our Facebook page, on our Facebook Live, between Joe and Travis, who are talking all about the Braves and Freddie Freeman. So, hey, I love that you're listening to the show. I love you're watching the show. And I love that our listeners are interacting with each other. They're not necessarily interacting with me and what we're talking about, but they're interacting with each other. I love it. Great community here on the Brady Farkas Show. Now, let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What? Brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. Begins at just $20 a month for the unlimited car washes. If you want one free car wash, all the listeners need to do is just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. The Patriots made a small move yesterday, right? All the Patriots have been doing is losing guys left and right in free agency. But yesterday they made a small signing. They signed running back, receiver, kick returner, Ty Montgomery. Montgomery is a name that you probably remember. He came up with the Packers and actually made an impact there. He's been with Baltimore a bit, the Jets a bit, the Saints a bit. He's 29 years old. He's a Swiss Army knife player. He is a return man. He's got 258 career rushes in his career. He's got 140 career catches in his career. The people in Boston, not that high on this move by the Patriots. Here's Phil Perry, our guy from NBC Sports Boston, talking about it.
Am I being too harsh? It's a math move. No, I don't think you're being harsh at all. This is a team that needs real players, that needs real talent. And to me, this is a move that doesn't move the needle.
Okay, so Phil says the move doesn't move the needle. Mike Felger of 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, he was a little more harsh.
Can I make a prediction on this guy?
Yes.
Right here. Won't make it out of camp. Won't make it out of August. He will either get hurt or he will get cut. And it's going to – I'm already getting agitated by hearing Bill Belichick call him a four-down player, which is what he can be. He's been a running back. He's been a receiver and returns kick, so it's like I just know that's going to be part of the sell on this guy, four-down player. He's a four-down player, and let me tell you something. He's not good on any one of those downs. He sucks on all four downs. But he can play all four.
Now, I think that is too harsh, okay? I think that is too harsh to say that the guy sucks outright on the air. I'm not going to join the party on this one. I have been so down on the Patriots offseason. And I genuinely do hate most of what has transpired here for the Patriots and around the Patriots this offseason. But when it comes to this Ty Montgomery signing, I'm actually going to take the opportunity to be glass half full on this. And I acknowledge fully, there's a chance that Felger is right. There's a chance that Ty Montgomery does not even make this team. That is absolutely 100% an option that's on the table. But I am at least intrigued by Ty Montgomery. And the reason why is because I saw a few years ago what this team did with Cordero Patterson. Maybe Ty Montgomery can be a poor man's version of Cordero Patterson. Can do something for you in the kick return game, can aid in special teams, can carry the ball a bit, can catch it a bit, can be somewhat of a Swiss Army knife that the defense has to account for. He's not going to be your best running back. I know that. He's not going to be your best receiver. I know that too. But maybe Ty Montgomery can just be a good football player for you. And at the end of the day, the Patriots have always excelled at creating and utilizing good football players. My expectations of Ty Montgomery are very low. I don't expect much from him. But if I'm choosing to be optimistic, I've seen what this team did with Cordero Patterson. And that intrigues me enough to at least bring in another Swiss Army knife type player. I don't believe he's necessarily completely useless like Felger seems to think. He's not going to be your best running back. He's not going to be your best receiver. He doesn't fix your offensive problems. He doesn't bring you closer to the Buffalo Bills. But he might just be a good football player that you can incorporate into your offense. And remember, the Patriots also lost Brandon Bolden to the Raiders. They're kind of third down back. They're out of the backfield back. Now, again, James White was hurt, so James White's back this year. But, so maybe Montgomery can help fill the Brandon Bolden role. Special teamer and a guy who can aid in the pass game a bit. He's not gonna have 85 catches. He's not gonna rush it 100 times. But he just might be a good football player. So for all the negativity that I have had for the Patriots, this one is one I'm choosing to be optimistic about. I think this is a very low risk and a potential medium-sized reward. I mean, the Patriots turned Cordero Patterson from pretty much only a kick returner into a valued commodity on the free agent market, and now really the most versatile offensive player the Atlanta Falcons have. Maybe, just maybe, Ty Montgomery can get the same thing. Again, 29 years old, certainly older. He's not here. He's not a 5-year player. Maybe you can do something. TJ says, I agree with you on Ty Montgomery. However, we have no offensive coordinator. So, look, most of what's happened to the Patriots this offseason, I don't feel good about. The way the coaching staff is shaken out, what's happened with the players that they've lost, the defense that is, looks like it's gone to hell, and how everybody around them has gotten better. I mean, we've chronicled that for weeks. Today, I'm choosing to be positive. And I'm defending Ty Montgomery because I think what Felger said is too harsh, to say that he sucks. I mean, I remember him being good with Green Bay now a number of years ago. He's not that player right now, but could be a guy who just might be able to surprise us a little bit. So again, for March 18th, I'm choosing optimism here. After 2 months of negativity on the Pats, today I choose optimism. All right, it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I'm going to talk next about what's up with UVM, what's happening next. I really do think there's a chance for massive turnover with the Catamounts. Massive turnover potential. We'll talk about that. And I got to tell you my story about how in this business yesterday I realized that the things that I say have some consequences. I'll explain. That's coming up next on WDEV.
The Trading Post Online Marketplace is where you can get great deals on goods, services, fitness, and entertainment. Bowling is fun for all ages. Right now, you can get a Twin City Family Fun Center or Valley Bowl $50 gift card for just $25. Vermont Flannel $50 gift cards are currently $30. Check out all the deals on our website at WDEVradio.com.
As temperatures start going down, you should go up to your attic and protect your comfort with Knopf insulation, available at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber. Adding rolls, bats, or loose fill insulation can keep your house warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, and save you up to 20% on energy bills. Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Derby, and Swanton. Sticksandstuff.com.
Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, we've got the right stuff for you. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
The Zen Barn in Waterbury is happy to present the first in a series of family-friendly performances showcasing diversity in our community. Karubo is a Vermont-based singer-songwriter born in Kenya whose influences range from traditional African music to gospel, blues, and Afro jazz. This free family-friendly event will feature interactive activities for kids and food and drink for purchase. Karubo, Sunday night at 6 at the Zen Barn in Waterbury. Doors open at 5. This event made possible with support from Stephen Klein.
The Lamoille Valley Gun Show is back. Collectors and sportsmen buy, sell, and trade this Saturday and Sunday. Browse through nearly 200 tables of new and used, modern and antique firearms, hunting equipment, and accessories. Stop by this Saturday, March 19th, 9 to 5, Sunday, March 20th from 9 to 2 at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. Just $10 for adults. Children under 12 are free. The Gun and Outdoor Sportsman Show, March 19th and 20th, presented by the Lamoille Valley Fish and Game Club.
2 building science experts, over 20 years of combined experience, 1 hour per week. It's House Calls Vermont, back for a second season on WDEV.
Brought to you in part by RK Miles, Hawley Construction, and Ken Libby of the Stowe Area Realty Group at Keller Williams Stowe.
House Calls Vermont, Saturdays at 12:30 on WDEV AM and FM, streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We're going to get to what's next for UVM here in about 3 minutes, because I think there's a lot of really interesting conversation points on the Catamounts. But I got to tell you my Jackie Bradley Jr. story from yesterday. And this one was odd. This one kind of shook me a little bit initially. So I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, we were talking about Jackie Bradley Jr., and I said it would be a failure on Chaim Bloom's part if Jackie Bradley Jr. plays 162 games in the outfield for the Red Sox. And so that's what I said on Tuesday or Wednesday. And we always, as a staff, put out some video highlights of the show, and I share them on social media. And, we're trying to get the content out, and we're trying to get some interaction from listeners and things like that. So, we always put out 4 or 5 clips from every single show. And yesterday, for some reason, I see that this tweet that I have about Jackie Bradley Jr., it's a video of me talking about Bradley, and the caption says, the Red Sox, can't let Jackie Bradley Jr. play 162 games in the outfield. Something like absolutely cannot happen. So yesterday, I see that the tweet is getting a couple interactions, and one of them comes from Jackie Bradley Jr.'s former teammate at South Carolina. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd. Like, usually the people that see my tweets are the people that follow me and the people that, know me and the people that listen to the show. I'm like, it's kind of weird that it got to whoever this guy is at South Carolina. And he says, Jackie's going to hit 30 home runs this year and have a great year. And he tells me to shut up, you nerd. And that's fine. Like, this guy played college baseball at South Carolina. He certainly was better than I was. But if he thinks I'm some nerd, no big deal, right? Like, it's kind of the fun of the business is interacting and, kind of getting trolled a little bit and giving it to this guy. And it's all fine with that. But then right after I get that interaction with Jackie Bradley's former teammate, I see that Jackie Bradley Jr. himself has liked my initial tweet. My tweet calling out Jackie Bradley Jr. and saying that he can't hit and that he hit 163 and all that last year and that the Red Sox absolutely cannot let him play 162 games. Jackie Bradley Jr. himself likes that tweet. And I'm like, how on earth did my tweet get to Jackie Bradley Jr.? Now, look, people in big markets and people with big followings, this happens all the time, right? Like, Cowherd says something, and it gets to everybody. Skip Bayless says something, it gets to everybody. That's why a lot of athletes don't like those guys. I've been able to give my thoughts in relative anonymity for my entire career. It was very weird yesterday to know that something that I said negatively about an athlete actually got to said athlete, and they actually saw it. Now, it's fine. That's the business. I have no problem that Jackie Bradley saw it. But it was different for me, to realize that what I say, could actually someday have some consequences, And if I ever get big in this business, it's going to happen a lot more often. So it was a kind of a good introduction to knowing, like, hey, what I say has the potential to get seen, by the people I'm talking about. And, maybe someday they might have the potential to confront me on what I've said. So, it was just interesting. It's something that I don't know. It's happened before, but maybe not with ever someone as prominent as Jackie Bradley. But first I was like, how the hell did that even happen, that Jackie Bradley saw my tweet? Then I was like, wow, Jackie Bradley saw my tweet. Like, has anyone else who I talk bad about seen my tweets, seen my videos, listened to the show, whatever? As I go through my career, my goal is to get big enough that my stuff gets circulated with more regularity. So it's going to happen again. But it had never really happened before, so it was odd. And look, I hope that I'm right. I hope that I'm wrong. If Jackie Bradley plays every day, I hope he hits 30 home runs, steals 20 bases, and wins a Gold Glove, and the Red Sox go to the World Series. I hope that that's the case. I hope that I'm wrong, and I'm pretty good at recognizing when I'm wrong and admitting when I was wrong. But unfortunately, I don't have until October, for Jackie Bradley to admit that if it happens. So that was an interesting day yesterday for me on social media. At first, I thought it was like a fake Jackie Bradley Jr. account. And I thought, no, that's the real guy. That's the real Jackie Bradley Jr. By the way, I stand by what I said. Like, I'm not backing down from that. The Red Sox will not have done a good enough job if JBJ plays 162 games. I stand by that. I just was like, usually I've been able to, go through relatively anonymous when I say these things. And yesterday was like, okay. Maybe it means I'm making headway in this business. The fact that Jackie Bradley actually saw it. I got a story. One of my, a guy I know in this business, he kind of went through this a couple of years ago. He went from a relatively small market to a very big market kind of overnight. And he almost got in a fight on the golf course with that NFL team's punter, over something that he had said. Or like a training camp or something. Like, maybe they said something at training camp on their show, and then they saw the guy out in public and they almost got in a fist fight. Like, it was crazy. So who knows? Maybe that could be me someday. If anybody has any thoughts on my Jackie Bradley Jr. story, let me know. 802-585-3026. Frank says, welcome to radio, Mr. Big Shot Brady Farkas. Yeah, I'm not trying to be Mr. Big Shot. I just thought it was interesting that, usually that kind of stuff doesn't happen to me. So, there we go. I guess I got to be ready for it now. So we'll see if it ever happens again. Hey, I hope that my tweet spurs JBJ's offense on. Like, if he wants to use my tweet as a dartboard or bulletin board material, then so be it. I'm all for it. Because again, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be right about it. I like being right, but not about things like that. I would like, if JBJ is going to play 162 games, I would like for him to prove me wrong. All right. Let's get to UVM. Catamounts beaten by Arkansas 75-71 yesterday. Season over, 28 wins. Great season, 17-1 in America East play. I really wonder what is coming next for the Catamounts, because this season to me kind of felt like one last dance. We're used to the team being really good every year, but I'm really not sure how many key pieces are going to be back next year. I think there might be massive turnover in this program. Ben Shungu's gone. He's graduating. We know that. All of his years are gone. Justin Mazzulla is gone. He was on with us this week. He said, this is my last year of college basketball. So he's gone. So that's 2 starters that are gone. Isaiah Powell could come back, right? He's got the extra COVID year. He was on with us this week, and he said, I can tell you right now, I'm not coming back. I want to look to go play internationally. I want to go look to play professionally overseas. So Isaiah Powell's gone. That's 3 players that are gone. I wonder if Ryan Davis will do the same. Ryan Davis has an extra year. He could come back, but will he? Would he want to come back for another year of school on a team that doesn't feature the other guys I just mentioned? He's already won 2 America East Player of the Year awards. Like, what is left for him to accomplish? Is Ryan Davis going to come back to Catamount Country? Is Ryan Davis going to graduate and go play professionally somewhere like Powell is? Is Ryan Davis going to do what Steph Smith did and use that extra COVID year, enter the transfer portal, and try to go join a much bigger school? I think all of those things, that involve him leaving UVM are on the table. In fact, I would say my guess is that Ryan Davis coming back is the least likely of those scenarios. If he goes back to school, I could see him transferring out to play basketball somewhere bigger for 1 year. And if he just wants to graduate and start making money to play professionally, I could see that too. What is left for him to accomplish? 2-time Player of the Year. The only thing left for him to accomplish is winning a tournament game at UVM. And if the program is going to, if all the guys around him are leaving, that becomes exponentially harder next year. So, Shungu, Missoula, Powell, definitely gone. Davis, possibly gone. How about Finn Sullivan? He could come back next year. So could Cam Gibson. So could Robin Duncan. They could all come back next year. But will they want to? Do they just want to graduate and get jobs? Do they just want to graduate and go play somewhere else? Do they want to go try to play overseas? I don't know what they're going to do, but I know that there's a lot of guys who played key roles on this team, and UVM could lose like 8 of them. So there could be massive turnover in the program. Now, your best case scenario, if you're a UVM fan, is that Davis comes back and that Finn Sullivan comes back and that Cam Gibson comes back and that Robin Duncan comes back. Like, that's your best case scenario. I do not think that is likely. I could see Robin Duncan coming back. I could see Cam Gibson coming back. But Davis and Finn Sullivan, I could see them leaving. There's going to be some real player turnover here. Your goal as a Catamount fan is that it's going to be minimized, but I don't know that it's going to. And then there's the question of what happens with John Becker, and there's a lot going on there too. Basketball-wise, John Becker absolutely could move up. He has proven himself to be a good enough coach that other teams in the country should at least be looking at him. Ryan Odom left UMBC, went to Utah State. Steve Peichel went from Stony Brook to Rutgers, made the NCAA tournament. So guys from this conference do move up. Becker, I'm sure, will be a candidate for a job somewhere. So from a basketball standpoint, does Becker want to come back? If those 8 guys all leave, does Becker really want to start over? Not to say the guys that are currently on the roster aren't good or the recruits won't be good, but if they're going to lose like 8 players from this year's team and all the upperclassmen and all the experience, does John Becker really want to come back and run it back with a team that is going to be trying to kind of, find its footing again? I don't know that he's going to. Did he see this as one last dance? And I saw this play out at UAlbany. When I worked at UAlbany, the women's team won 6 consecutive America East championships. And the head coach, Katie Abrahamson Henderson, she left the minute her 2 best players graduated. She said, look, I'm going to stay to be with you guys because we got a chance to do something special. They graduated. She bolted for Central Florida. That could absolutely be a thing with Becker, too. Hey, Davis might not come back. Shungu's not going to come back. I'm losing all these guys. We're not going to be quite as strong. I'm out. That could absolutely be the case. And I got to say, I haven't really done any digging on this, okay? I fully admit this. I haven't really done a lot of digging, but I've been told by somebody who I believe to be credible that Becker is wanted out of UVM for a while. Again, it's one source. It's not multiple sources, but it is somebody that I believe to be trustworthy on this. I've heard from this person that Becker has looked for other jobs in the past and that there may be some openings this year that might appeal to him. He's certainly frustrated by the delay in the arena, as we all are, because that doesn't look like it's close to happening. I think there's a degree of frustration with the administration. Like, do you remember last week when I thought maybe Becker was taking a shot at the fans? I really think that he was taking a shot at the administration. The more that I think about it, I think he was taking a shot at the administration.
I know people around here, take it for granted. This is really the hard thing to do to get to the finals. I hope everyone really enjoys it in our community, at our school.
So if Becker thinks that a bunch of players are leaving, does he want out? If he's already wanted out before and now he's got a bone to pick with the administration and the arena's not happening, does he want out even more? And then you have to wonder the impact of the sexual assault and rape allegations against members of his program. We've talked about that. How much does that impact him? Do other schools, is he unhireable at other places? I don't know. Maybe he wants to leave and he can't. Maybe he's stuck here because here is the only place that will employ him. I don't know, but those allegations are out there. So how does that impact Becker? Maybe he wants to leave and can't. Maybe he wants to leave and another hiring, so all it takes is one. Maybe another school will look the other way on those allegations, or they won't attribute everything that happened to him. I don't know. But I certainly think there is a chance that John Becker is gone. I can also see a scenario where John Becker is still here. But there's just a lot of questions about the UVM program right now. That is what you need to take away more than anything, is there's a lot of questions about the program. How many of these guys are going to come back? And then what exactly is going to happen with Becker? I think this could be a tumultuous off-season period for UVM. We know Shungu's out. We know Powell's out. We know Missoula's out. At minimum, 3/5 of your starting lineup is gone. Does Ryan Davis say, I got nothing left to accomplish here, and if those guys are out, then I'm out too? Finsel, you could lose all 5 of your starters. Like, we could be back with Deloney and a bunch of bench guys that didn't play this year. I don't know what's going to happen. So, a lot of things to watch for. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. I did get into an interesting conversation yesterday. So, I don't know, trying to read a bunch of, let's see. Frank's got a bunch of things to say. I can't read them yet. I'll read them at the end of this segment. But I had a really interesting conversation yesterday. Do we all think that this UVM team was better than the 2016-17 team? A little reminder. That UVM team went unbeaten in conference play, 16-0, and then lost to Purdue in the NCAA tournament. Do I think that this team that went 17-1 in league play was better than that one? My gut tells me no. My gut tells me that UVM team was better. Not by much, but my gut tells me that UVM team was better. And the reason why I say that is because I think it really comes down to depth. I think that this version of Ryan Davis is better than that version of Anthony Lamb that year. Lamb was a freshman. I think that this version of Ben Shungu was better than that version of Traybell Haynes, who was a junior. And Traybell Haynes was awesome. He was incredible. I just think that Benny was better this year because of his scoring ability. So I actually think the Stars have an edge on this year's UVM team. That UVM team, to me, gets the advantage because of their depth. I mean, Peyton Henson was a beast. Drew Urquhart, Kurt Steidel, Ernie Duncan, Darren Payne, Cam Ward, Dre Wills. There were more impact players on that team than there are on this one. This is a fun debate because I don't think it's a total runaway, but I think that team was better. And the America East was better in their season. Like, going 16-0 in that league was better than going 17-1 in this version of the league. But it's not a runaway. I do think that it's a good debate to have. I just think the star power is better on this team, but that team had more overall depth. It's Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Here's what's happening right now around the NCAA tournament in games that have gone final. Miami upset 7th-seeded USC 68-66. Texas is beating Virginia Tech 70-57. Notre Dame beats Alabama 78-64. Game about to tip off between Chattanooga and Illinois. Cal State Fullerton and Duke. Iowa State and LSU to come tonight. Wright State and Arizona. UAB in Houston, Davidson and Michigan State, Colgate in Wisconsin, and TCU and Seton Hall. We get a question, what's up with the conference? 2 teams are leaving. Yeah, Stony Brook's leaving immediately, and I think they're going to be replaced by Bryant, who was in the tournament and got beat yesterday, got rolled. So I think that we're going to see, Bryant got beat in the play-in game to get to the tournament, but they did get a tournament berth. So Stony Brook's going to leave immediately. Bryant, I think, takes their spot. Hartford has a couple of years left. They're kind of waning off of Division I. So they're going to be awful because, who would want to go there knowing the future of their program? So they're going to be bad. I think they still are, are here next year. So I don't think an immediate replacement has to get found. All right, let's see what Frank has to say. Just making the tournament is a win for the program. Brady, you are tainting that they had a good season. Can we bask in the afterglow of a good season for a bit? Let's see. All right. And then, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Frank. Frank sent a lot of stuff there. So that's the stuff that's the most pertinent. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. When we come back, Chris Sale. I've reached a new point with Chris Sale. I do believe he can be good, but I'm no longer counting on him. I'll tell you why. That's next on DEV.
Gambling took so much away from me. I lost money, friends, so much loss I knew I could never get it all back. But thanks to recovery,
Dad, dinner.
I did get back the things that matter most. Coming! For free 24/7 confidential counseling, call 1-800-522-4700 or go to problemgambling.vermont.gov. A message from the Vermont Lottery.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV.
Tired of the same old worn-out holiday traditions? Well, put down that eggnog, Granny. It's going to get lively. Inject new energy into your holiday celebrations with fireworks from North Star Fireworks. North Star Fireworks, Vermont's premier fireworks supplier, has the largest inventory in Vermont, including rockets, aerials, firecrackers, and repeater cakes. North Star Fireworks celebrating good times with great fireworks for nearly 40 years. The locations in East Montpelier and St. John's Ferry. Online at NorthstarFireworks.com.
Hi, I'm Carson Kressley. Of all the most valuable resources in the world, kindness is the most precious. For more than 140 years, American Humane has been working to make the world a kinder place for animals. Rescuing those caught in disasters, protecting animals on our farms, on the silver screen, and the world's remarkable and endangered species who need our care to help them survive. All of us can make a difference by making humane choices at the supermarket, in our choice of entertainment, and by supporting conservation and rescue efforts. It's not hard at all. Make being kind a lifestyle choice and visit AmericanHumane.org for simple ways you can help build a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for animals and for all of us.
Vermont is an amazing place. It's not like any other place in the world. On Vermont Viewpoint, we want to capture that uniqueness in our people, our geology, politics, food, and fun. Listen every weekday morning from 9 to 11. You'll hear from our lawmakers, newsmakers, and your friends and neighbors right here on WDEV. I'm Rick Singeri, host of Vermont Viewpoint, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas as we explore the flavors and the beauty of this wonderful place. Listen to Vermont Viewpoint every weekday morning from 9 to 11 and join in with your thoughts.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back, Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training online at ProDriverCDL.com. They are Vermont's premier truck driver training school. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line is open. That's 802-585-3026. And you can also, again, get in on the Facebook Live and YouTube Live chat as well. Hey, you just heard the promo for Vermont Viewpoint. I am going on Vermont Viewpoint on Monday. Monday at 10:30 in the morning, I'm going to be on with Rick. I don't know what Rick's going to ask me. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to pick my brain about, like, specific sports or if he just wants to, like, talk about my life and my career and all that. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I listen to Vermont Viewpoint, but I'm not in the office when Vermont Viewpoint is on. I generally get in about 11:30. And leave at about 7:30. So I'm not in a lot while Rick is doing the magic. I listen on my way in most days, but I am going on Vermont Viewpoints. I don't know what that's going to be like. So I'll have to, I guess we'll all find out Monday at 10:30. All right, last sports thought for the day here. I'm at the point with Chris Sale where I don't count on him for anything with the Red Sox. And I'm not saying that Chris Sale can't be good, and I'm not saying that Chris Sale won't be good. There is a difference between that and what I am saying. I'm just done treating Chris Sale as a sure thing. That's all. I used to pencil him in as a guaranteed quality start and that he'd be a guaranteed good pitcher for me and have a good season. I'm no longer going to do that. There's too much volatility to Chris Sale's career now for me to pencil him in as a sure thing. He's on the other side of 30. He's now got an extensive injury history. He's missed time in the last 4 years, including this one. He's out through opening day at least. I'm just done expecting him to be great. He very well may be great. We may get to the end of the season, we look back, and Chris Sale has made 25 starts and, has an ERA of 3. We may get to that place. But Chris Sale may also make 12 starts. I just don't know. If I'm Chaim Bloom, I'm not precluding myself from doing anything just because I have Chris Sale. Does that make sense? I can't limit myself and just say, oh, I got Sale. Like last year, I think people were like, the Red Sox don't have to do something to the deadline. They got Sale coming back. I was never really that guy, but I'm sure as hell not going to be that guy now. Chris Sale makes a lot of money, and I understand you have to account for that when you make moves, but I just can't rely on him in the way that I once could. Could make 25 starts and be great, could make 12 and be on the shelf again at some point this year. I just don't know. I just don't know. I feel like Nathan Eovaldi is more a guy that I can count on right now, that I can pencil in something for than Chris Sale. Again, if Chris Sale sees this, video or whatever like Jackie Bradley did, I'm not saying that Chris Sale is bad. There's just enough of a injury history now that it's just not reliable. I just don't know what to expect. Phil in Middlesex says, I'm looking forward to Monday at 10:30. So there you go. Looking forward to me being on with Rick on Vermont Viewpoint. And of course, I think Danny, the director of Vermont Viewpoint, is out on Monday. I love Danny. And Danny's not going to be here. That stinks. I wish that Danny were here. If I'm going on, I wish Danny were here pressing the buttons for that show. Danny used to be my intern. I don't know if he and Rick ever talk about that. I don't know if that ever comes up, but Danny used to be my intern when I worked at a different station. I actually got Danny over here. So any chance I get to work with Danny, I'd be happy to, but Danny's not going to. Of all the days that Danny's going to take off, he takes off the one day that I'm on Vermont Viewpoint. I should have just said I'll be on Tuesday with Rick, and then Danny could have been here. But nonetheless, such is life. I'm on, again, Monday at 10:30 on Rick's show. I know Calvin is on that show on Monday, so he always has the State House report. So I like seeing what Calvin's got to say. So I'll be on Monday at 10:30 there. Full show podcast is available here on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next. We come in on Monday. I'm sure we're going to have probably more NFL news to react to. The league never seems to sleep. So we'll tell you what the latest and greatest is there. I got some thoughts on the Patriots that I want to get to also. So have a great weekend, everybody. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next. Best of luck to Middlebury women's hockey, who is playing in the Frozen Four at Kenyon Arena. Their game faces off here in just a couple of minutes. Have a great night, everybody. It's WDEV.
Folks, Dan and Pat Keene here at the Motor Valley Chevy. With gas prices on the rise, you need to listen to this special announcement. Tell them, Pat, the car, truck, and SUV challenge is back and better than ever. This year, we have challenged our teams to sell and order over 700 vehicles by the end of April, and here's how we plan to get there. With the purchase, lease, or